Alright, so my name is Mario Hernandez, and I heard we got a new neighbor from Germany. Welcome to Mississippi. Don't mind me. I definitely didn't research about my new neighbor. I heard you've come from Prussia, escaping the economic depression in the German states. I also heard about that you came because of a German book about how Missouri is perfect for Germans due to its amazing landscape and how similar it is to landscape in Prussia. It was by Gottfried Duden, published in 1829. It described the advantages and pros of immigrating to Missouri, as well as the ways on how to successfully start a life there. An example of this was his mentions of rich soil, its abundance of resources, and the ability to live along the Missouri River. Also, the book is named Report on a Journey to the Western States of North America. It was made when Duden went to the States in search of land for German settlements. He ended up writing the book using his own experiences, encouraging the immigration to Missouri. The reason why this book was popular was able to spark a growth in German immigration in 1830s and up to now 1846 is because it was published in times of economic depression and war, which caused Germans to look more into travel pamphlets such as the Report on a Journey to the Western States of North America. The way it's sounding right now, though, there might be a revolution at work because of all the corruption, economic depressions, and the potato famines going around or all over there. By the way, there's a brewery that just opened up in St. Louis that was actually built by one of y'all coming from Germany. We should stop by for some beer if you're at the age limit. Obviously, I'm not at the age limit. I'm going to have me some nice milk. So yeah, I've been seeing a lot of wineries and breweries open up recently because of immigration. Did you know that 43% of the population that made up St. Louis were German or Irish immigrants by 1850, which is in 4 years? Yeah. You're asking about your neighborhood? Let's see. We have the Irish that have opened up many churches all around St. Louis. They began to make their way here because they were going through a potato famine as well. That greatly affected them negatively, so much that they needed to move somewhere with the right resources for living. We also have the previous inhabitants, the French, which actually founded, in a way, the city of St. Louis. In the 1770s, a man by the name of Pierre Laclede Leguiste was granted land by the King of France and chose the site of St. Louis because it was near the Missouri River, which was perfect for trading. Next, we have the Mormons. Oh wait, the Mormons were kind of exterminated and hunted out of Missouri because due to the extermination order of 1838. It went something like this. The Mormons must be treated as enemies and must be exterminated or driven from the states if necessary for the public peace. Their outrages are beyond all description. That was by Governor Boggs, I believe. Pretty wild, though. Apparently, it was due to a war that started when the Mormons began to populate more and conflicts began to arise due to the difference between non-Mormons and Mormons. So yeah, you don't really see Mormons here anymore. Dang, it's beginning to rain. Oh wait, never mind. It's stopping. Weather here is random because I couldn't figure out what it was like. You're asking when Missouri became a state? Well, it was in 1821 when the Missouri Compromise came to play. I'm going to speak over the Missouri Compromise later because it's important to Missouri's stance on slavery. It was able to be admitted when the Louisiana Purchase happened, and it was known as the Louisiana Territory. Missouri failed at first to gain statehood because its pro-slavery and admitted as a slave state would tip off the balance of the free slave states. The Missouri Compromise would allow it to enter temporarily as a slave state in return for Maine as a free state. Missouri is a state rights over federalist type of state, by the way. The reason for this is because they believe that the federal government shouldn't have control over whether slavery was legal or not. We can see this when it entered as a slave state during the Missouri Compromise. Well, we can't see that, but yeah, most of the population didn't want Missouri to become a slave state, but it did, and so yeah. So the economy of Missouri. Missouri was first built on the fur trade because of its access to water transportation via the rivers. Then it slowly moved towards agriculture, and it was also powered by unskilled labor because of the immigrants moving in. They exported fur up the rivers in return for goods before like the immigrants and all that came in when the French were around. And yeah. Nowadays the Little Dixie region grows cotton and exports it up the river. Our cotton and other crops are known to match any other states in the Union in terms of productivity, according to a recent issue of the Boone's Licks Intelligencer. It's an issue from 1820. The Whitney gin could gin up to, I'm not sure if it's gin or gin, up to 50 pounds a day, which contributed greatly to our productiveness. The steamboats, by the way, also went through the Ohio, Mississippi, and Missouri system to bring in immigrants, by the way. Let's see. Well, is Missouri a free state, you ask? No, it's for slavery, even though the majority of the population wanted it to be a free state. The reason for this is because the Germans that now make up almost 43% of the population, as well as the Irish, were anti-slavery, so much that they made their own union. Their press actually went against it loudly, too. Originally, Missouri was for slaves because its first inhabitants came from the south. The Missouri Compromise was made because the Northerners feared it would cause an unbalance between free and slave states, meaning a shift in power in Congress. So in return for Missouri, Maine was added. Also, anything below the Missouri and in the Louisiana Purchase was allowed to have slavery. Anything above it wasn't allowed. I believe it was called 3036 line, I believe. Might be that or 3620 line. Sorry. Yeah. The one thing I hate about this state, though, is its stance on slavery. Even though almost half the population was against it, with the Irish, the Irish and German immigrants were against slavery. The only reason it became a state was because Maine was going to enter as a free state in 1819. But it was prompted the idea of balancing it out again once using Maine as a free state and entering Missouri as a slave state. The North disliked the idea of there being more slave states and wanted slavery to stay in the South instead of going upward. And in the South believed the government had no power to restrict slavery, which is why there had to be a compromise. The one thing I love about the state, though, and that you may like as well, is the progressive and abolition side of St. Louis, made up of German and Irish immigrants. The weird thing, though, is some still use slavery as means of labor, but they did not agree with it. They also saw the more progressive movement as not open to immigrants and saw themselves oppressed because of the nativism growing due to their fast and huge immigration. Also, one last thing. I brought over a sticker of the Great Seal of Missouri. It was signed officially in 1822. It has a motto on it, Salus Populi Suprema Lex Esto. I believe it's Lex Esto. It might be Esto. Which means let the welfare of the people be the supreme law. It means the states will turn over supreme law for the health of the people. The seal also shows Roman numerals standing for 1820, which was the year it was emitted, even though it was actually 1821, sorry. But yeah, it says 1820. It also has 24 stars, with one of them being larger than others to represent its status as a 24th state. One thing to note is that the crescent in the middle represents the state as a second sun, which refers to its status as the second state to be formed under Louisiana Purchase. And that's pretty much it. I just wanted to come and say hi to my new neighbor. Go ahead and take a look around Missouri River and head up it and St. Louis and all that. So that's basically it.